Greetings and salutations, everyone. I wanted to put together this little video to discuss the new show that just aired on AMC this past Sunday titled NOS4A2. And before I dive into this subject, I just wanted to give the usual disclaimer of spoiler warning, so I will be discussing some plot points in the episode, so if you have not seen it yet, I would say might want to duck out of here now and then come back when you have seen it, so you guys have been warned. Now, to give you guys the basics, NOS4A2 is a new series, as I mentioned, that has premiered on AMC just recently, and it is based off of a novel written by Joe Hill. Now, many of you might know who Joe Hill is. He is related to the legendary Stephen King, but I mean, not to say that his status really affects him as a writer, because he's actually a really good writer. But he's written a whole bunch of different books. He's written a graphic novel, Lock and Key. He's written a book titled Heart-Shaped Box, which is a fantastic book. If anyone has not read that, I highly recommend that. If you wanted to start off with reading a Joe Hill novel, I would highly recommend that book. Now, I have personally not read NOS4A2, so I am going into this discussing this new series with a fresh, open mind. I have no bias here. NOS4A2 is centered around a young teenage girl by the name of Vic McQueen. Now, Vic has this special ability, which isn't fully explained in the first episode, but I can imagine that there's going to be further explanations to her power. But she has the ability to uncover lost things, and she, while out on a run on her bike, she manages to find this bridge, and apparently this bridge has not been around for many years. I guess apparently it was torn down, but weirdly enough, this bridge kind of acts as like a teleportation device, and it takes her to one part of town where she ends up uncovering lost items that belong to her parents. Now, Vic comes from a very troubled background. Her living situation is not exactly very stable, and her parents are barely making ends meet. And on top of that, they're constantly fighting. Her father has a massive problem with alcohol, and her mother is kind of a bit of a bitch, let's just put it that way. And then you also have this other subplot involving a character by the name of Binks Partridge. Binks is a detective working out of the state of Iowa, and she has been assigned to a case involving a missing boy. And interestingly enough, just like Vic, Binks also happens to have this special power of her own, whereas Vic has a tendency to teleport and find lost things. Binks has the ability that's kind of very similar to that of an Ouija board, where she's, in a sense, kind of a clairvoyant. She, instead of carrying around this Ouija board, she actually has a bag of Scrabble tiles. And these Scrabble tiles that she lays out on the table gives her clues as to what she's supposed to be looking for. Now, we see this boy at the very beginning of the episode by the name of Daniel Moore. So one night, Daniel kind of creeps in to try to talk to his parents because he didn't want to feel alone. And obviously his parents are kind of in mid-coitus when Daniel kind of walks in. And his mom's like, no, go away. And then all of a sudden, there's an intruder that comes into the house and attacks his parents. And then Daniel ends up getting lured into this car. And in this car is a person, this mysterious person that goes by the name of Charlie Manx. And Charlie, I guess in a sense, he steals the souls of children. He takes children to this imaginary town called Christmasland, where every day is Christmas and being unhappy is against the law. Now, personally, I don't think it's been made abundantly clear as to what Manx's motivations are. Obviously, I'm sure that will be unveiled further and further throughout the season. And as far as my overall thought, I did enjoy the episode, I'd say. I mean, it wasn't the greatest, but I mean, to be fair, usually a pilot episode is not going to be completely stellar. I mean, obviously shows like The Walking Dead is an exception. Still, for the most part, you're not going to get a whole lot of huge reveals and stuff like that. So, in a sense, the first episode is just basically focusing on setting up these characters and just becoming a little bit familiar with their situations without there being too much revealed. So, I mean, for the most part, I'd say that I'm definitely interested. I can't wait to check out the second episode. Zachary Quinto is very, very, very creepy as Charlie Manx, and I think he's a great actor. So it's nice to kind of see him kind of play like this really mysterious and villainous type of character. So I'm not really familiar with Zachary Quinto. I know who he is, but I haven't really seen him much outside of American Horror Story. I know he was Spock in the J.J. Abrams movies, but other than that, I mean, I really haven't seen Zachary Quinto much, and he's definitely impressed me in this episode. And then I also really like Ashley Cummings as Vic McQueen. I think she's absolutely adorable, and you can certainly relate to her character. I mean, given the type of background that, you know, she leads and just her horrible, unfortunate situation, what she has to deal with her parents. I mean, someone like myself, I can certainly relate to that. Because, I mean, as kids, you don't like hearing your parents fight and stuff like that. And a lot of the times when her parents are fighting, that's when she goes out on her motorbike. And that's how she found out about this bridge. And I guess people have told her that, oh no, this bridge has not existed, it's been torn down many years ago. And obviously it appears that they're setting up there to be some sort of connection between Vic and Manx. So it'll be interesting to see what this connection is. I mean, I'm certainly intrigued by it. And at the very end of the episode, the kind of stinger was that Vic's father ended up walking out on her and her mother, and it turns out that he's been cheating on his wife with a close friend of the family. So, oh boy, I can't imagine how Vic is going to feel about that and how she's going to react and how she's going to confront her father. And also we find out that Manx seems to, in a sense, establish this kind of connection with Vic, and he's pretty much on his way to where she's at. I can imagine his goal is probably to try to capture her somehow. So as I said, the first episode was, I mean, it wasn't great, but at the same time it wasn't like completely boring. You know, it was a good episode. It's definitely got me interested in checking out episode 2. Hopefully it gets even better from there. And those are just my brief overall thoughts on this episode. If any of you have seen NOS4A2, I would certainly like to hear your thoughts on it, so definitely leave a comment down below. And thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, dear friends, this is Cynical Lindsay, signing off.